Oops, there we go. I was like, where am I? All right, hello everyone. Welcome to Ask the King. Good to be back, right? I do this every 2 months now, which is great because it allows me to save up a lot of questions, and it seems like I usually get a good spread of questions for Ask the King by leaving it as a bi-monthly show, so I think that it definitely makes sense to do this moving forward. First of all, happy Thanksgiving to those who live in the United States of America. My American viewers, today is a national holiday. Usually we have it off from work and school and everything. Unfortunately, as you know, with a more commercial world and a world that's more bent on getting you to spend, and buy, a lot of stores, unfortunately, are open today. Thank God that Leanna's job is closed today because we were so worried that maybe they were going to be open, and having to go on Thanksgiving and work on Thanksgiving is not a very good prospect. And I actually want to say a shout out to those who were forced to work today. I feel for you. It sucks. It shouldn't happen. Hopefully things will turn around. There's actually a lot of companies that are coming out and saying, no, we're totally anti Thanksgiving as being a day of work, and therefore it's actually something they advertise, that their business refuses to be open on Thanksgiving. We should have a day away from the commercialism of the United States. But it is what it is. If you are working today, be careful, especially tonight, tomorrow with Black Friday, the crazy stuff going on, the people out there going absolutely nuts trying to look for deals and stuff. Some of them are pretty crazy. I've seen some crazy shit over the years, people literally driving through parking lots, hitting people with their cars. It's out of control. Please be safe. All that being said, Ask the King, in my new capture software, it looks pretty much the same, at least from what I can tell. I know the bottom probably looks a little different. I had to remake all of my templates for all of my shows because my streaming and capture software crashed earlier this week. Good thing I wasn't live streaming this week, or else it would have been a disaster. But yeah, this is all, I set it up. It's the same artwork and everything, but I had to reset it up. Hopefully it looks good for you. And if there's any technical difficulties, I ask that you please be patient, being that this is the first week with this new capture software and I had to reconfigure everything. Here's hoping that things go correctly and nothing goes wrong, all right? So first of all, thank you to everyone who either submitted their questions via my forums at thekingofhate.com, or if you posted them up at my Twitter, at theycallmeDSP right over here, or if you were a patron in the last couple of months and you posted up your questions in the premium patron section on the kingofhate.com forums, you're going to get your questions answered right now, which is pretty cool, right? So if you're interested in getting your question answered on the next episode of Ask the King, which will be taking place at the end of January 2017, those are the ways you could do it. You could post them up right now. There's a thread on the kingofhate.com forums where you could post up your question right now, or you could wait till the day of and you could post up your question on my Twitter, or if you become a $20 patron of mine on patreon.com, then you can for sure get your question answered, all right? Well, I got a lot of questions that need to be answered. There's some that are holiday themed. There's some that are pertinent to what's going on with me and my business right now. There's some that are very pertinent to just things going on. I really enjoyed all the questions that were submitted. Please understand, everyone, I can't answer every single question. There's no way. This would be a 7-hour show if I did. But thanks to everyone who did submit your questions. Don't feel discouraged if you didn't get picked this time around. Every 2 months I do this show. It's a long show. It's usually over 2 hours long. And there's a good chance that eventually I will pick one of your questions, okay? All right, so without further ado, let's jump right back into the questions. First of all, let's go into the patron questions, and then we'll move on to the forum questions and the Twitter questions, all right? So first off, this first question is from Traditional Games, and he says, hey, Phil, I was wondering if you would consider bringing back Hate Live. I know you said there's no point since you can do individual vlogs on things now, but it would probably work if maybe you did the show once every other month or something like that. Also, an idea would be to do what Kind of Funny Games do. After they finish their podcast, they split the segments into individual videos. If you do it like that, you can create a channel update, a Phil Reacts video, and a Back in the Day video all in one session. What do you think about that? Well, here's the deal. Let's fully elaborate on this question. I used to do a podcast called Hate Live. Wasn't much of a podcast. Not really. It was me sitting here talking for 2+ hours, a show where I would cover a variety of topics. Usually it would be things to do with my business, things to do with games that I would be covering in a period of time, but also current events, news, all kinds of stuff like that that I would cover on Hate Live. And then in addition, I would maybe do a Back in the Day segment where I would have a show where I would talk about things from my past and stuff like that. It ran for about 2 years. All right, it actually ran. I started the show, if I remember correctly. I believe I started it in like 2013, and then it ran all the way through late 2015. Now, at the end of last year, it was actually December, I believe, of 2015, I did my final episode of Hate Live ever. Why did it go away? Well, because what I decided to do this year in 2016 was to split up the content of the show and make it a more digestible thing, because the bottom line was the show was over 2 hours long a lot of times, and having so many topics talked about in one video makes it almost impossible to know what's going on, because let's face it, oh, the new episode of Hate Live, what's in this episode? Then you had to click on the video, look at the video description where you would see like 20 topics discussed with timestamps. Most people don't care. They don't like that. That's not digestible for YouTube. What they want is a video per segment. So, okay, there's one segment where Phil talked about this game. I want to see that. There's one segment where Phil talked about a movie. I want to see that. I don't want to see one video that has 400 subjects in it, and I have to jump around. So that's what I decided to do this year in 2016. Now, it's funny because there's actually a question coming up later on, and you know what? I might as well just address it now, but I don't know exactly where the question is. Hold on. The question was, and it sucks because now I can't find it, and I want to give a shout out to the person who submitted this question. Hold on. Here it is. Phil, why have you stopped doing your Phil React series? The series made me laugh more than ever in my life. The one on Batman vs. Superman when you saw that movie earlier this year, as well as the one on WrestleMania 32 were some of the best ones you've ever done. Have you ever considered doing those videos again? From Wingmaster19, okay? So what happened? This year, I started doing these videos. It would be, oh, I saw a movie, I react to the movie. Oh, I saw a WrestleMania pay-per-view, I'll do a reaction to that. Oh, there's a news story that Final Fantasy 15 is being delayed, I'll react to that. And there were big news stories this year that I reacted to. But I didn't get to do it as often as I would have liked, quite honestly. And right now, honestly, I haven't done it in months. I haven't done it since Final Fantasy 15 got delayed, which was back in, what was it, the summer? August, I think? And you might say, well, why? Why is Phil just dropping it? And the answer, quite honestly, is a very simple one. I didn't drop the series. The problem is, I'm too busy to do it. Like, my schedule right now, because we're in the busiest gaming season of the year, is insanely packed. I'm already behind. Just think about it. In the past few months, I skipped out on a bunch of games that I didn't even bother covering, all right? Some games that I covered, I barely covered. Gears of War 4, all I did was play the campaign. I never even did the multiplayer or the Horde mode. I'm still trying to squeeze in a session of Infinite Warfare Zombies if I ever can, so I can review the game. Right now, I'm in the middle of an ongoing Watch Dogs 2 playthrough. I started a Pokemon Moon playthrough. I just did the Batman Telltale series, but then I got a marathon coming up on Monday, but then Final Fantasy releases on Tuesday. So you see what I mean? I'm so busy right now that, like, everything I'm doing already is backed up, and I'm constantly playing games, and then I do a review. The thing is, with the Phil React series and the vlogging that I've been doing, it's a good thing. I like it. I like doing it, but it really ends up being the secondary thing to my business. I'll be honest with everyone. This channel, The King of Hate Vlogs, makes almost no money. Because, number one, I don't post up a lot of videos here all the time. It's maybe, what, a couple a week? When I do post up videos, let's face it, it's not like this channel is getting insane amounts of views or anything. It's not. So this channel has to kind of be my secondary focus and balance it with everything else. Now, I'll be honest, when I was doing more vlogging, it was doing well. It was actually getting more views and it was increasing in popularity. But then with all the busyness of this gaming season, I kind of had to focus on that, or else the bottom line is if I'm falling behind on gaming, I'm not reviewing games or whatever, people are going to be pissed. So I have to kind of be up to date on that before I can worry about doing these vlogs, all right? Now, going hand in hand with that, I was doing vlogs on movies that I was seeing, right? I did Captain America Civil War. I did I do Star Wars? Yeah, I think I did Star Wars The Force Awakens. And I might have done one more, and I can't put my finger on it. I think I did like trailers. I saw a couple trailers, and I actually did those. Oh, Deadpool I did this year. And I think I did trailers and stuff like that too, okay? So that was good. But the bottom line is, I haven't seen many movies at all this year. And you might say, well, why not? Well, because I'm busy. And this is kind of funny because everyone, well, Phil, you just sit around, you play games all day. So I don't understand why you say you don't have time to do this stuff, or, you know, because I don't. You know, unlike these other YouTubers, people always love to compare me to other YouTubers without actually looking apples to apples, right? Go look at the big gaming YouTubers on YouTube and look at how many games they actually play and how many videos they actually put out. And now look at my channel, all right? My day is full. I am constantly either playing games, uploading videos, creating edited videos. I am jam-packed just to make ends meet here. You know what I mean? To pay my bills, that's what I'm doing. I'm nowhere near as popular as these big YouTubers who are putting out one video a day, and then they have all this fucking free time, you know? I don't have that free time. I can't travel to conventions. Actually, there's a question here coming up about PAX West and stuff like that I'm going to answer and directly address, but I don't have time for travel anymore. I don't even have time to go to the movies. The bottom line is this: one day a week, out of my entire 7-day week, one day a week, I take half a day to go to dinner with Leanna. So once a week, we actually get to go out for dinner and kind of have a date night. And you want to know what our date night entails? Dinner and errands. So whatever errands we need to do that week, we got to go grocery shopping. We got to pick something up for the house or whatever, you know, fill up the gas tank, that kind of shit. That's what we do when we're out. That's our date night. And rarely once in a while, we get to go see a movie. I know this year we saw Deadpool. Well, we saw Star Wars, Deadpool, Civil War. I think that was it. Like, oh, you know what I think about? The last movie we saw was The Conjuring 2, but we ended up seeing it like 3-4 weeks after it was already out, so there was no reason to do a react video to it because the movie was already old, right? These other YouTubers, they're seeing the movies the day it comes out because they're not fucking busy. They go right to the theater, watch it, and do a react video for it. Sorry, you know, I wish that was my life. I wish that I had freedom like that. I don't. Because the bottom line is the day that I don't sit here and play through a game and record the game and upload or stream when I'm not editing is the day that I don't make any money. And making a react vlog to a movie that gets, what, 10,000 views doesn't even pay enough for the cost of the movie. You know what I mean? Just going to the movies, what, $20 a ticket? Most movies now are $15 to $20 a ticket, you know? So it doesn't even pay the cost of the movie, so it doesn't make any sense. And I know people don't want to hear that, right? But that's the honest truth answer to the question here. The reason why the reacts videos have kind of gone away is because I'm too busy covering the games right now. And it's more of a thing to fill in. Like, for example, when you think about the times when I did those videos earlier this year, gaming was nowhere near as crazy as it is right now. There was a lot of free time during that time. And right now, I don't have that free time, all right? Now, next year, there seems to be an unprecedented amount of new games that are going to be released January through April. Like, it almost seems like a lot of publishers said, screw the holiday season. We're going to try to do it earlier in the year. So next year, early on in the year, is going to be very crazy with game releases. I just want to prepare everyone for that because I don't think a lot of people are aware of how crazy it's going to be with new game releases next year, all right? But if there's some movies and stuff coming out that I want to see and I actually get a chance to go and see a movie, I'll see it. Like right now, I wanted to see Doctor Strange. 100%. I like the character. I used to read Marvel comics. I used to know about Doctor Strange. Hell, I've even got games that I play. You know, I got this Marvel game that I play on my phone, and Doctor Strange was a new release character, and it had a tie-in with the movie. I was like, wow, this would be great. And then I realized I was too busy. I didn't have the time to go to the movies. So I haven't even seen the movie. I probably won't see it till it's on demand. And that's kind of the situation right now with me and my life. It's that hectic, right? Just to make ends meet and pay the bills, I'm working my ass off. I don't even have free time to go see a movie every once in a while and do a react video on it, okay? So the bottom line is that's the deal. Now, the original question here from Traditional Games is, would I ever bring back Hate Live? Here's the thing. I like his idea. His idea is do a 2 to 2.5 hour podcast. Great. But record segments separately, so that way you have a series of videos that you can release and they're separate from each other, and that way people can digest them. So maybe I do Hate Live and I record 5 videos. One is news about me and my business. One is talking about current events and news that's going on. One is I don't know, a back in the day segment. One is a special segment on, I don't know, who knows, you know, whatever, a movie or something, right? And then I have 4 or 5 videos, and I don't even have to release those all on the same day. I can release one on that day and then spread them out over the course of the week. So once a day, you get a nice digestible vlog. I like this idea. I do, and I want to say thank you to Traditional Games. This is a good idea. And obviously, he stole it directly from Kinda Funny Games, whoever they are. But it is what it is. Let's think about it. Let me think about it. Right now, I'll tell you right now, it's not going to happen. There's no way that it could happen right now because I'm too busy with all the games and stuff I'm covering. This could be something that I start doing in 2016. If I realize I'm not having time to do the reacts videos and the stuff that I want to do, instead I do separate segments on like a podcast for half a day, and then that becomes a series of vlogs that I can release over a week, and it gives me content for you. That's a good idea, so thank you to Traditional Games. Great idea. What do you think? What do you, the viewer, think? Leave comments on the video, you know, social media. Let me know what you think, and I'll consider it maybe next year. That'll be a change for 2017. All right. Okay, next question. Well, actually, questions. This one is from Marl. She says, Phil, I have some questions. First of all, Nintendo confirmed that there won't be any backward compatibility for the Nintendo Switch with physical media like the Wii U discs and Nintendo 3DS cartridges. What are your thoughts? Let's be honest here. Backwards compatibility is nice, okay? But is it really needed when a lot of these consoles you can just download digitally? You know what I mean? Like, the Wii U, technically, is not backwards compatible with the Wii. You can't put a Wii disc inside of the Wii U and play it, right? But you can get tons of those games digitally. So it doesn't really matter. You get the virtual console on there, right? 3DS, I mean, the 3DS, let's face it, if you don't have a Nintendo 3DS by now, and you're interested in 3DS games, I don't know where the fuck you've been for, like, the past decade, because the thing is, like, the most successful handheld ever, and, you've really already missed out, okay? So, no, I don't think that the 3DS needs to have backwards compatibility into the Switch. Honestly, I don't think that the Wii U, first of all, what games on Wii U do you want to fucking play on Switch? I mean, if you were a fan of Nintendo, you already owned a Wii U. So, it's not like, for example, you know, you bought the PS4, and you really wish that you could play these two classic PS3 games on your PS4. It's not like that. You know what I mean? Like, most people probably already have it. I don't think it's a big deal at all. I mean, it would have been a nice feature to have. I don't think, especially if it means that it doesn't increase the cost of the console itself, I don't think you need backwards compatibility like that, especially when everything is so digital, and a lot of the times you get the digital versions that are emulated or whatever on the modern console anyway. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Alright, second question. After watching your gameplay for years, do you use a script for pre-streams, or do you memorize things to mention on stream like plugs and the like? Mostly memorized. Mostly, it's all from up here. Every once in a while, there'll be something really important I need to mention on a pre-stream, and yes, I will write that down or whatever, but mostly right up here. And it's funny, because some people who attend pre-streams, they hear me rattle through plugs and stuff, and they're like, wow, it's Phil reading his plugs. You know, on a radio station, they have the plugs they have to read. No, I'm just doing it from right here, memorized. And then number 3, are there any stories from your past that you've never mentioned before? I'm sure there are, but here's the thing, and this is the honest truth about the Hate Live show with the Back in the Day segments. I'm sure that there's tons of stories that I could tell you from my past that would be very entertaining. The problem is, it's in my past, and without something that's, like, pertinent, it's hard to even recall the stories. You know, it's funny because I won't think of something for years, and all of a sudden someone will bring something up or something funny will happen in relation to something, and then that story will pop in my head because it relates to it, you know? If anything, if I were to bring back, let's say, Hate Live, okay, what I would probably do is every time that I do an episode, I need to have a thread on the forums where people post up ideas for topics that you want to hear me discuss on the show, including ideas for back in the day, because the bottom line is, after doing that podcast for 2 years, I was, like, tapped out, and I couldn't really think of any more back in the day segments for the show. But it was funny, because now I could still, you know, oh, bring up this, oh, I have a story for that, you know what I mean? So I would need help kind of guiding what to talk about on the show, and back in the day would be one of those things. But I'm sure there's tons of stories, but I'm not going to talk about them now. Let's save them for a pertinent time, okay? All right, the next questions are from Sean Shady. We're still going through the patron question. So Sean Shady 2015, number 1, he says, recently you tweeted that you consider DMX your favorite rapper. Do you have any other rappers you like as much, or would you put up there with him? First of all, I never said he was my favorite rapper. I said that I respect him, and I actually believe that, well, no, actually, maybe I did say he was my favorite rapper. I didn't necessarily mean that, you know. What I mean is I respect the guy. Why I respect him is he is a guy. He lives the lifestyle of what he's rapping. You listen to what he's rapping, and I would believe 1,000,000% that everything he ever said in a song, as harsh, as sexist, as violent, and the shit that he says in his songs, I believe that that's him as a person. I do. All these other rappers, right? Especially the ones that are fucking out today, the shit that they say in their fucking songs. And then you see him, oh, here he is in his fucking, you know, $1,000,000 outfit with his fucking prissy boy makeup on his fucking face. He's wearing rings and shit. And you're like, yeah, you're a real gangster ghetto dude, man. And the stuff that you say, oh, you're gonna really fuck someone up. You say that in your song. I'm sure you do that all the fucking time, you know? There's no cred to it. There's no credibility at all to what they say in their music versus DMX, 100%, I believe that guy was fucking real with the shit that he said in his music. So I respect him for that. I'm not saying that I agree with what he says in his songs or anything, but I remember back in the day, you would listen to his music and be like, damn, I 100% know that guy fucking does that shit. Is there any other rappers? I mean, back in the day, when I used to listen to music, when I was in high school and college, it was basically the people who were coming up back then were Dre and Snoop and you know, Slim Shady, Eminem. Those were the 3 big guys. Now, there were other people who were competing, you know, but they were the 3 big ones. And that was kind of the primarily the focus of all the rap and stuff that I heard at that time. Now, I know right after that was like Jay-Z and all them, and that was kind of like, I didn't really care about music anymore. So really, those would be probably the guys who rap is synonymous with rap in my head. Number 2, I'm not sure if you're aware, but season 6 of Game of Thrones recently aired and was almost completely non-book material since they're past the books, where George R.R. Martin has yet to release The Winds of Winter. The TV series is set to conclude within the next 2 years, and I was wondering what your thoughts are on moving it past the ending on its own without the books. Good for them. That's all I have to say. Good for them. Because the bottom line is, I'm sorry, George R.R. Martin, a lot of people are saying, oh, he can take as long as he wants, right? Because it's creative genius. And you can't stifle creative genius, and you can't rush it. And you definitely need to give him his time to finish the books, right? Because if he doesn't, and he rushes through it, and it sucks, then everyone will complain. I agree, but at the same time, George R.R. Martin is a lazy fuck. I mean, this guy doesn't do anything. Seriously. Look at, his whole series blew up several years ago because it went on HBO, became a super popular TV series, and then what does he do? Oh, I'm at home writing a book. Sorry, I don't believe that he sat there for fucking 4 or 5 years writing one book. I just don't believe it. What I believe is that he's got all this fucking royalty money rolling in, and now he's living the high life. And so for him, oh, I get the royalty, I don't need to work hard anymore. Man, fuck that. I mean, yeah, I know the book's never finished. Who gives a fuck? Here comes another fucking $1 million paycheck for me, so why the fuck would I care? So I don't think he cares. I really don't. I mean, I get that mentality, because I'll be honest, I've said about this before. Reading his books, the last couple books of his that I read, they sucked. Because what it was he wrote this super book, and then he split it into 2 books. So now when you're reading the books, the time frame is going forward in time, back in time, this character, that character, and it's a terrible fucking thing, and he ruined his own fucking book series. So good on them. Whoever's writing the HBO TV series, you do not have an easy job, that is for sure. I'm certainly not jealous of the people who are writing for the HBO series, okay? I'm not jealous at all. That's got to be a tough fucking challenge, simply because you're writing from source material that people are all so loyal to, but the guy fucking never finished the books. And now, who knows, no matter what they do with the show, people are probably going to complain about the ending, but hey, good on them, and you know what? It is what it is. If George R.R. Martin ever finishes the books, will anyone ever care? Because honestly, the show has become more canon than the books at this point. That's what happens when you're lazy. I don't know what else to say. All right. And his third question, will you continue your Femshep Renegade run in Mass Effect 2 in preparation for Andromeda coming out in March? Well, first of all, we don't know if it's coming out in March. They released a trailer, and everyone's excited, and then they didn't give a release date, and everyone's like, bah, we really wanted a release date for this fucking thing. And it sucks because I'm super high. I mean, let's think about the craziness of 2017 already. Mass Effect and Red Dead Redemption are both fucking returning, and Resident Evil are all returning in 2017. 2017 is stacking up to be one of the biggest gaming years ever, but let's not get too over-optimistic, because a lot of these years when they have these series continuing, it's not so good, right? Let's see. But, I mean, I'm super excited, but we don't know this coming out in March. Now, I would love to maybe do a second run in Mass Effect 2 as Renegade Femshep. Plus, by the way, I haven't played Mass Effect 2 since it was new. That was a long fucking time ago. So now you're talking doing a second playthrough of a game that I only played once. It might be pretty interesting to do it a different way. But that being said, like I already said, the early months of 2017 are stacking up to be some of the busiest months ever for gaming. There's a ridiculous amount of gaming releases coming out in a short period of time. I don't know if I'd be able to even fit in a run. I would like to, but let's see. Again, feedback. Feedback is key. Let me know. Do you want to see a run of Mass Effect 2 Evil Femshep, right? Do you want to see it? When do you think it would be a good time? Because the game release window, like all the game release release dates are pretty much public now. When do you think would be a good time to do it? Are there any games in particular that you don't think would be too interesting that I should skip, so that I should maybe do this playthrough during that time as like a downtime thing? Give me your feedback, and we'll go directly off of that. All right. Let's keep going with these Patreon questions, because we got quite a lot of them this time around. This next one's from Fallen One Gaming. And he says, Phil, I was wondering, could you ever be willing to use a GoPro and a laptop to live stream from PAX West, being that the convention is so close to you? I think it would be an awesome way not only to draw in viewers for an event, but would also be a way to showcase new upcoming games live and your take on them before release. Also, if the dev teams are there, you could be... Oh my god. You could interview them and show the faces behind the games. Just thought. All right. First off, a GoPro. I mean, I'm sure that this is the camera that you like wear on your head or whatever. I've heard, when I used to sell the fucking things when I used to work at like Best Buy and stuff, and they sucked back then. The resolution was terrible. They weren't good quality. Now I hear that they've become like really good stuff, and that the GoPros are actually quite good. First of all, I wouldn't use a GoPro. No, I just use a handheld camera. I've been to E3 before. You know, use a handheld camera, much better. GoPro would be too shaky cam, and the quality wouldn't be as crisp or clear, all right? But here's the thing. It's very directly related to what I already mentioned previously. I don't have the time. Like, if I took an entire 3 days off to go to say, PAX West, all right? First of all, people don't realize how busy these fucking conventions are anymore. Like, when I started off this thing on YouTube, gaming was just becoming like a hobby that was popular. Now, it's like the number one thing. It's insane. Parking, you're talking, yeah, I have to park like a mile, 2 miles away from the fucking place and walk. Expensive to park, right? And to get in, you got to buy your tickets a million months ahead of time, right? Which I have really not been on top of or even looking into. Most people who want to get into the fucking convention can't even get into it because they don't get tickets, right? You get in there and it's a fucking crowded with people, wall to wall. It's hard to record. It really is. And the bottom line is, I've already heard that it's become like almost like an internet gaming culture fan fest with millions of people coming in and trying to look for YouTube celebrities and stuff in there. The bottom line is this: if I went to PAX West, I would just be a normal attendee, and yeah, I would film a few things. I wouldn't be able to be a guy who's a celebrity who's covering stuff because I'm just not popular. Let's face it, I'm not popular on YouTube or anywhere to the level where I'd be able to get an exclusive interview with a game developer. No one cares. No game developer would grant me an exclusive interview. I'm just sorry. I'm just being real here. I don't think it would ever happen. I'm not trying to be negative or defeatist. I don't have any kind of a following where I could get my foot in the door. That's the thing. People, again, I'll say it again. People seem to hold me up to the comparison and esteem of these giant YouTubers with millions of subs. I'm never going to be there, you know? So I would never have the clout to be able to do that kind of stuff. It just wouldn't happen. And the bottom line is, I've been to E3, and the year that I went to E3, I didn't get much exclusive coverage of anything. Really, if you look at my videos from E3 2012 when I went, it was all stuff that you kind of saw from at home. The only things that I actually did there, right, that you couldn't have seen if I just covered it from home, was I played Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, and I played Resident Evil 6, and I saw some footage of Injustice, hands-on, but I didn't get to play it. And that's really it. Like, everything else that was there was stuff that I could have covered from home. And by the way, I wasn't able to record any of those things that I just mentioned. So the exclusive things you get at E3, you can't fucking record. You know? So it's like, what's the point? It's expensive. You know what I mean? For me, yes, I live right next to PAX West, but I still have to drive all the way there, park, walk, food, tickets. You're talking hundreds of dollars in expense. Plus, taking 2 to 3 days away from my business here where I'd be recording and putting out videos to pay my bills. Again, it's just like going to the movies and all this. Phil, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? I don't have the freedom to do it. I don't. You know what? I'll be honest with everyone. Many years ago, so we're talking, you know, I'd say probably from the years of 2011 to 2013, when I was much bigger on YouTube, I had way more attendance on everything I did. I was making way more money. Then I had the flexibility. Then I actually was making enough money where I could say, fuck it, I don't need to make any videos today. I could throw everything off for a week and go to E3 or go to PAX. I could do whatever I want because I have that flexibility. I no longer have that, you know, and that's a shame. I know people want to hear it. Hey, that's the question that was asked. That's why. You'll probably never see me at PAX West because I just don't have the freedom to attend. You know, a lot of the people, you got to think, there's two groups of people that are there. Either people who are there, that's their recreation time, their time off is at PAX West, or they're so big on YouTube that they could just go cover it, and every video they put out gets millions of views. So if they make 5 videos from fucking PAX West, they make a ridiculous amount, tens of thousands of dollars. They can afford to go. I can't. That's it. You know, I'm kind of, you know, a lot of people say, why don't you go to conventions anymore? Why doesn't it? That's why. That's your honest answer right there, is because I just can't. I have to be here every day, working my ass off, putting videos out, or else I can't pay my bills. All right. Next question from Atlas Telemon. Now knowing more about the Switch and Zelda Breath of the Wild, could you share your thoughts on both? I already shared my thoughts on Switch on my forums and on Twitter. I'll very briefly tell you what I think about the Switch. The Switch is a portable console. It is not a home gaming console whatsoever. It is the next evolution of the 3DS. Nintendo might not want to mention it, and they want to market it like a home console. It is not. What the Switch is literally Nintendo throwing in the towel. We're taking the towel. Forget it. We realize we can't compete anymore with these other guys who are making these consoles at home. They're not trying to compete with graphics anymore. They're not trying to compete with the lineups of games that they're putting out anymore. They're just throwing in the towel, and they're saying, we're just going to make handhelds, all right? Now, the Switch can be a home system, but it's a downgrade from any of the systems that you have right now, especially because people were so nuts. We heard that the Switch is going to run with graphics better than all the modern consoles. Then what's it going to be priced at? $800? No, of course not. Or else no one's going to fucking buy the thing. And Nintendo would never price a new console that high because they know their market share is for the more casual gaming audience who are just fans of Nintendo games. No one's going to go out and spend $800 on a Nintendo console just to play the exclusive first-party games besides the most hardcore of fans. So they're going to release a console. It's probably, of the rumors right now, is that's going to be between $250 to $300. It's going to have terrible graphics compared to all the other consoles are doing. It's going to be, just face it. I mean, seriously, even the most hardcore Nintendo fanboys at this point need to start realizing reality. They're not trying to compete anymore. They just realize they have a market share, a market base, and they're not trying to compete sales-wise or anything with the other consoles anymore. They're not. This console is the proof of it. No one asked for a console that's a home console that you can attach these fucking sides to it and take it away as like a tablet gaming system with you. We already have our fucking smartphones right here. I have that. I don't need to add fucking thumbsticks to the side of my smartphone to play Nintendo games, and I'm not asking for that. No market is asking for that. It's just they decide to do whatever they want, and they realize they have a rabid fan base that will buy whatever the fuck they put out there, regardless if they're not making sales numbers like they used to. They're still making enough money, obviously, to keep afloat, mostly because people ran out and bought Amiibos for 2 years like morons, so now they can do whatever they want. And once again, they're making a gaming console that's not as powerful, it's not going to be as good, it's not going to have the features of the other consoles, and we're just going to have to realize that's it. That's the reality for Nintendo at this point, okay? Nintendo is never going to be number one again. They obviously don't want to be because they're not listening to the feedback of anyone. They're just doing whatever the fuck they want at this point. So if that's the case, and it was funny because people always used to blame, the old leadership of Nintendo. That's gone now. There's new leadership, and they're doing the same shit. So it's just going to be what they do from now on. Just relax and face it. All right. Do I feel optimistic about the sales of the Switch? Here's what I think. Switch will sell a lot at launch. Everyone will get the Switch, right? We'll all buy up the first-party games and maybe a few third-party games at launch, all right? But what's going to happen is the third-party games aren't going to sell as well because let's face it, when you already got Skyrim remastered for PS4 and Xbox One and it's running great, and you buy it for the Switch and the graphics are dumbed down and the frame rate's lower and it doesn't perform and it's got cut content because it can't handle it, why the fuck would you buy it for the Switch? And that's what's going to happen with every third-party game on the Switch, just like it did with the Wii U and the Wii. The games underperformed on it and people said, why the fuck would I buy it for that? It doesn't make sense. And the same thing's going to happen with the Switch. And within a few years, no third-party support again. And all it's going to be on there are the first-party Nintendo titles. And the hardcore, rabid Nintendo fanboys, oh, it's the best thing ever. I love playing my fucking Splatoon and all. Because Splatoon now is apparently a launch title. Even though we all fucking played it already. Oh, Splatoon's a launch title and all this is so great. And they're going to be there in their bubble. Their Nintendo bubble. While all of us outside are over here playing all of our great games on the other consoles. And they'll be in their fucking Nintendo bubbles. Because that's really what it is now. This fan base of Nintendo is kind of like the same thing, the fan base of Apple. They live in their bubble. Even though technology has advanced outside of Apple, right? You got droids and all these other phones and tablets and things that do things better than the Apple devices. People got to have the new Apple. It's the same thing with Nintendo. I got to have the new fucking Nintendo regardless if it's behind the times. So overall, I think the Switch will sell to the targeted market, which will be Nintendo fans. And I don't think it's going to do so well outside of that after maybe the initial year. The initial, like the Wii U. People bought the Wii U initially, and then after that, it just stopped selling because no one wanted it because there's no fucking games for it worth playing besides the first-party games, and that's not enough to sell the whole console. Same thing's going to happen with the Switch, and Nintendo will be in the same situation, so they'll find another gimmick. Oh, man, the Amiibo gimmick wore out, man. We got to sell fucking, I don't know, Nintendo plushies or fucking... They'll do something stupid that has nothing to do with gaming to make more money, and people will, oh, the fanboys, got to buy it, got to run out and buy it. And they'll make more money to finance their stupid blunders, and they'll keep going. That's what I believe. All right? Zelda Breath of the Wild. Complete polar opposite opinion on this. That's what I just said about the Switch. The game looks great. Open world roaming. Tons of stuff going on in the game that I've always wanted from Zelda. It actually looks like it has RPG elements in it that should have been in Zelda from the get-go, but the reason they weren't in there is because it's Zelda, and Nintendo does it the way they want. Now it seems like it actually has these elements in it. And it looks pretty sweet to me. A true day-to-night cycle, leveling up loot. All these things you've seen in other games are going to be in Breath of the Wild, supposedly. So, looks great to me. Although it's hilarious, not a launch game for the Switch anymore. Well, shucks. The one reason everyone was going to go fucking buy it. Now we all got to sit here and play Splatoon. And supposedly this new Mario game that's going to be a launch game, even though they don't have a fucking name for it yet. Okay, whatever you say, Nintendo. Alright, a couple more questions here. From Evoker to the Face. Nice name. He says, greetings and happy Thanksgiving. Phil, my question for you today is this. Since you play games for a living and you try to play most major releases, you've obviously been around the block. Does playing a game for YouTube diminish the enjoyment that you may potentially get from any given game? As in, do you think you would enjoy certain games more if you were able to play them more casually and you didn't have to worry about all the things going on, you know, around a typical playthrough? Does playing games for YouTube ever give you a feeling of burnout, so to speak, because you play so many games? I've always been curious about this and thought you'd be the perfect person to ask since you always give it straight and without the bullshit. Well, here's the deal. The one thing, honestly, for me, that does create burnout when it comes to YouTube, in my opinion, honestly, and I'll be real out here, was the live streams, all right? Because I was live streaming every day, and I had to conform to this very strict schedule of when I was going to be playing the game, because I had to set up the stream, I had to get it going, then my website has to update, then I have to tweet out that the stream is live, then I have to test everything on the stream, I have to do a pre-stream, then it's time to play games. Oh my god, I have to use the bathroom, now everyone has to wait while I go take a break, right? And God forbid something happens during my break that delays me from coming back to the stream, because then everyone complains or leaves the stream, and then I come back, and then later on, oh, I gotta hurry through my fucking dinner now, because I'm supposed to stream again later tonight, and I gotta rush back to the stream. I think that really the streaming was done way too much. I went overboard with it. And sadly, it became more of a detriment than an asset to my business, because the bottom line was, it wasn't special. It was something that was going on every single day for every playthrough. Even the longest, most drawn-out games that I played, you know, games that were 20, 30 hours long, I was streaming every single portion of it. And I think that really, it kind of made things stressful for me. It did. Now, this particular week is the first week ever I've cut back on streaming. Now, Monday didn't work out so well because all my streaming software and everything crashed. But outside of Monday, this week has gone pretty good. I mean, Tuesday and Wednesday so far, I was able to control my schedule. And even though not everything 100% went according to plan, I was still able to get in all the gameplay that I wanted to get in those days. And I got done what I needed to get done. So things are going good. I had the flexibility to go trim my Christmas tree and not have to worry about, oh no, this or that. And it went pretty well, in my opinion. Things are going pretty good. So I think that my new schedule adjustment of not streaming all the time is going to work out well, all right? Do I ever get burnt out? I'll tell you. Want to know when I get burnt out? I get burnt out when I'm playing a game that I'm enjoying, but the game has so much fucking padding that I just want to get to the next part that I know is going to be good. So, for example, Mafia 3 is probably the best example of games that I've played recently that did this. Mafia 3 had a great start. The first 5 hours of Mafia 3 are really enjoyable and fun and great. A great gaming experience. Then you hit the grinding portion where for literally 10 to 15 hours, you have to take over districts in this game. And you're doing the same fucking repetitive gameplay over and over and over and fucking over to the point where I'm bored beyond tears. Because I know there's moments of greatness coming. Every once in a while, you'll fight a big boss or a district leader, and it's a great mission, but then you're right back to the fucking repetitive grind. And that's what I hate. That's what I get burnt out on. It's not necessarily because I'm recording for YouTube or because I'm streaming, but because when I get to those points of the game, I know there's better things I could be fucking doing. There's other games out there. There's footage that people want to see. But because this game went into a huge grind, no one cares. No one's watching. And that burns me out because the bottom line is really what always got me excited about YouTube was knowing that when I play a game and I'm recording it and I'm sharing it, that there's an audience that cares and wants. They're feeding for the next part, and they're very excited to participate in comments and stuff. And when you get these playthroughs that are like this with the grinding, the attendance falls off and people just lose interest. And I understand why, because I lose interest. To play the fucking game, I'm losing interest. You know what I mean? When I'm playing a game where every day people are engaged and excited and they're coming out to the streams and they're talking about it on Twitter and they're fucking commenting on the videos and they can't wait for the next snippet of that game, that's when I feel the most excitement about doing gaming, honestly. A lot of the times, it's not the game. It's the excitement of coming in and seeing other people who are excited to see me play stuff. And every once in a while, I get that back. For example, when I was doing the PlayStation VR stuff, that whole weekend, I felt that. People were very engaged and excited to see PlayStation VR and see what that was going to be, right? But honestly, it's few and far between these days. I don't really seem to get that kind of excitement anymore for most new releases. Let's face it. Let's talk about a lot of the stuff. Dishonored 2. Right now I'm playing Watch Dogs 2. A lot of the first-person shooter games I've been playing. Basically, the stuff for the past 2 months, honestly. How many games in the last 2 months were amazing, standout games that blew everyone away and couldn't wait for the next part? Maybe the campaign of Infinite Warfare I really liked. But a lot of people wrote that game off because it was Call of Duty. I would say probably Battlefield 1, campaign, a little bit of multiplayer. That was good. I mean, I'm literally looking at my schedule now, and I can't even point to a single fucking release. Maybe, you know what? Honestly, and this is kind of silly. I know a lot of people might say it. Dead Rising Remastered might have been one of those where people were engaged. I was engaged. I wanted to keep going. Even though I was annoyed by the game, I wanted to keep going. And it's sad because like Dishonored 2, I actually really like Dishonored 2, even though it had a lot of technical shortcomings. But I think a lot of people just weren't interested in it. And that kind of is what creates the burnout for me. It's not... If I weren't playing on YouTube and I was just playing a game casually, maybe I would have enjoyed it more because I don't realize that there's people who aren't engaged and aren't liking the playthrough. You know what I mean? Although it's kind of the flip side too, I'll be honest here. Like Pokemon Moon, I'm fully aware that Pokemon Moon is not a super successful playthrough. I never expected it to be. My original Pokemon Omega Ruby from 2 years ago wasn't super successful because Pokemon is Pokemon. It's Nintendo. And honestly, a lot of my viewer base are not huge Nintendo fans. And I know that. But I'm loving the game to the point where every time that I'm playing it, and people on the stream and everything are loving it too, and people watching the playthrough are loving it. So even though it's not a huge amount of people, that's a hyper-engaged viewer base, and I'm loving continuing that game, even if it doesn't make me a ton of money or whatever, I still love it. So yeah, I think the one thing that creates, it's not the burnout of having to play games every day. It's not the burnout of having to play games in a certain amount of time. For me, it's the burnout of when I'm playing a game and my viewer base isn't enjoying it. Because then I'm kind of like, damn, and I already started this game, and I know there's some people who are enjoying it, so I can't stop just playing it, right? And a lot of times there'll be a game that I really like, and people just aren't liking the playthrough, and that's frustrating. That's what creates the burnout with me. Man, I got to go back and play that game again and try to beat it in the next couple of days, even though I know no one's watching. That sucks. That's a bad feeling, you know? I never used to get that. When you know, years ago, I could play any game on the planet, and people watched. And people were engaged, and I was like the hot shit back then, and now it's kind of different now. That's what creates the burnout, honestly, for me. Okay? Well, you know what? I was trying to get through all the patron questions in part 1. I haven't. I still have like 3 more. So what I'm going to do, since I've already been recording for over 40 minutes, I'm going to split this. This will be part 1. I'm going to come back. There's going to be parts 2 and maybe even part 3, depending on these questions and how long it takes me to answer them. Thanks for watching, everyone. So, you know, please stick around. Part 2 and 3 are going to be live on YouTube shortly. If they're not already live, definitely check those out. Thanks for watching. I'll be back in just a moment. Thanks, and see you then.